South Africa's assumption of the G20 presidency on 1 December 2024 was a pivotal moment and a high point in our foreign policy strategy and our global posture as South Africa. The presidency has created a unique opportunity to advance our regional and international leadership vision under the theme of solidarity, equality, and sustainability. It has offered South Africa a distinctive opportunity to elevate the voice of the Global South and the continent of Africa, and to champion inclusive growth and to foster strategic partnerships that advance inclusive and sustainable development, leaving no one behind. Indeed, South Africa's G20 presidency is yet another significant step forward in pushing Africa's aspiration to be a strong, united, and influential global player and partner, as reflected in Agenda 2063. Ours is the last in the cycle of G20 presidencies since the G20 was elevated to the summit level. It became clear from the beginning that our G20 presidency, compared to some of the recent ones, was going to be one of the most complex and complicated, because it comes at a time when there is an intersection of severe geopolitical and geo-economic fragmentation in the world. This fragmentation continues to test the global humanity and the solidarity among nations that was the bedrock of the formation of the United Nations 80 years ago, as well as the Bandung Conference 70 years ago. Growing structured and institutionalized global social inequality, the deteriorating living conditions of many across the world, as well as the exceedingly harmful practice of unilateralism, has resulted in a world which is highly volatile and rather unpredictable. Given these prevailing conditions, we took the very deliberate and intentional decision to advance a G20 presidency under the guiding principle of Ubuntu, which reminds us of the interconnectedness of humanity. In the same way, our overall G20 theme and the priorities that were announced by President Ramaphosa are aligned to our foreign policy, which is underpinned by our deep commitment to Pan-Africanism and progressive international solidarity. After all, our history has taught us that our challenges can only be resolved through cooperation, collaboration, and partnership, because no challenge and no triumph exists in isolation. The G20's strength lies in its spirit of partnership, in our ability to listen, to collaborate, and to act collectively. Whether we are addressing climate finance, energy transitions, the debt crisis, digital governance, or global health, our success depends on trust and cooperation across borders and sectors. Partnership must go beyond governments. It must include the private sector, academia, civil society, and the voices of the most vulnerable. The question then arises is how do we measure progress in a moment defined by rapid change, complex challenges, and also extraordinary opportunities? How do we balance ambition and action? And how do we ensure that we move towards a world where growth is inclusive, innovation is sustainable, and development is measured not only in profits, but in the well-being of the people and the health of our planet? In trying to answer these difficult questions, we pursued as the presidency an approach that was anchored by clear, ambitious priorities that reflect the values and aspirations of our nation, including our constitutional mandate and the continent that we represent. Some of these have been addressed already in the fire chart that came before this session. One of the recent innovations of our presidency is that President Ramaphosa appointed an extraordinary committee of independent experts on global inequality. This is very important, as it will be the first time that the G20 receives a report that addresses global inequality. And this committee is made up of very eminent experts and is chaired by Professor Joseph Stiglitz, the Nobel laureate. They presented their seminal report to President Ramaphosa only last week in Cape Town. One of the key recommendations from the report is the establishment of an international panel on inequality that would be modeled on the IPCC for climate change. This is to ensure that the challenge of inequality continues to be on the table and the agenda of the G20 beyond our own presidency. Inequality, you will agree with me, is one of the biggest challenges that the world faces. And no country is more appropriate in pursuing this than South Africa, because we are amongst the most unequal countries in the world. Our four overarching priorities are based on addressing those challenges which stifle the ability of the Global South and the African continent in particular to achieve our desired levels of growth and development. These priorities were already touched on earlier. First, to strengthen disaster resilience and response. Second, to take action to ensure debt sustainability for low-income countries. Third, to mobilize finance for a just energy transition. And fourth and last, to harness critical minerals for inclusive growth and sustainable development. These are the four overarching priorities of the South African presidency of the G20 in 2025. These priorities do not stand in silos. They are interlinked. Finance enables transitions. Transitions demand minerals. Minerals must deliver jobs. Jobs drive equality. Equality strengthens solidarity and the foundations of partnership. For instance, the adoption of voluntary and non-binding high-level principles for combating illicit financial flows by all G20 members during this year of our presidency is key in addressing the debilitating economic and development impact of illicit financial flows on our continent. Likewise, digital transformation and innovation is fundamental to our multidisciplinary approach to building an economy that embraces technology as a catalyst for development. While we commit to advancing digital public infrastructure, bridging the digital divide, and promoting responsible governance of artificial intelligence to secure Africa's future competitiveness. Sustainable development and climate action cannot be mere phrases in moving the economy forward. Climate resilience and green industrialization and growth are imperatives to achieving these objectives. South Africa is therefore steering all efforts towards actionable climate finance, renewable energy investment, a just energy transition, supported by nature-based solutions, and ensuring that all vulnerable nations, especially those of Africa and the Global South, are not left behind. In 2024, renewable energy projects were the largest sector for foreign direct investment, even over double the second largest sector, that is semiconductors, worldwide. Unfortunately, the investment spent on the continent is not near enough to guarantee our energy security and to support climate mitigation efforts. That is why, therefore, our presidency puts a lot of emphasis on this. As I conclude, Excellencies and ladies and gentlemen, our G20 presidency has been beset by tectonic shifts in global affairs. Challenges to multilateralism, while evident for many years, have become a dominant reality that continues to alter global realities and relations fundamentally. South Africa has shown firm resolve in its foreign policy by promoting the principles of justice, solidarity, equality, peace, and respect, underpinned by our commitment to human dignity and leaving no one behind. Globally, fair trade, inclusive economic prosperity, even-handed global governance, and the entrenchment of the principles of multilateralism are fundamental, therefore, to South Africa's vision of a more equal world. With this, I wish to thank you for your attention, and again, thank you for inviting us to participate in this important meeting.